back to Things I'll Take It From Here, the podcast where we deep dive into TV, film, and books, and break down the stories that made us feel something. Whether it's rage, sadness, shock, or all three at once, we're talking about it. This week we're covering episode 4 of The Summer I Turned Pretty season 3, and it was absolutely unhinged. We got Belly's 21st birthday, Jeremiah's internship that could be replaced by an Uber Eats app, a TED Talk on commitment by Jeremiah as if Cabo didn't happen, and Taylor and Belly canceling their dream trips because of men. We'll get into the Conrad of it all, and I got a fun spin-off to potentially pitch, so let's get into it. This episode starts with Belly turning 21, and while she's out here working back-to-back shifts at a restaurant, her man is basically Uber Eats for his daddy's company, earning a stipend to pay for his circus. Their wedding. And can I just say, Jeremiah loudly singing happy birthday to Belly and talking about being so hot for her in a common area where he works is real Nepo baby antics. In this scene, we also learned that the wedding is in 6 weeks, which I did some digging. 6 weeks from the day episode 4 airs is the second to last episode of the season, so I'm guessing that's when we'll see the wedding, but that's just a hunch. Laurel and John surprise Belly with Mickey Mouse pancakes for her birthday, and it's like a really warm moment, but it quickly turns bittersweet when Laurel refuses to go wedding dress shopping and makes it clear she does not support this wedding or engagement. The distance between Belly and her mom became painfully clear in this scene. Now we have to talk about the office dynamics. So we see Jeremiah trying to prove himself, or at least we see him saying he's trying to prove himself during his internship, and he's navigating office hazing and subtle jabs about nepotism and his dad roasting him any chance he can get. It's still F Adam Fisher on this account, but he really did eat up Jeremiah in that one scene. Also, the woman who told Jeremiah he looked handsome in a suit, I'm pretty sure that's the same woman Adam had an affair with, which is kind of wild because how is she still working there? I would be too ashamed to be around the son of the woman who died of cancer knowing I was hooking up with her man while she was dying. Awkward isn't even the word, maybe diabolical is. And you know what? I wonder if Jeremiah is ever going to find out about the affair. And then maybe Jeremiah will draw the parallel that he's similar to his dad, and that will force him to kind of think, maybe I need to go on my own personal growth journey. And speaking of office romances, Denise and Steven were 100% flirting this episode. Like, aggressively, actually. Steven really loves a woman who bullies him. I don't know if you guys seen, there is a rumor that Jeremiah actually ends up with Denise, which I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it's a whole hate to lovers kind of trope they might be going for there. We will have to see how it plays out, but I've been seeing that circling online. Meanwhile, Taylor is silently drowning. Her mom's salon is severely in debt, and Taylor's just trying to balance that with prepping for her New York City trip. Lucinda, bless her heart, but she is such a mess. She almost makes me forget Taylor was a cheater. Keyword almost. Because she literally is like one of the worst parents. Not as bad as Adam, but she is really up there. Side note, can you imagine Adam and Taylor's mom being a couple? That would be literally insane. But I thought it was nice that Lucinda at least volunteered to go with Belly and Taylor wedding dress shopping. Like, at least somebody's mom was there, even if it was Lucinda. And it's sad because I feel like that moment should be joyful when you go wedding dress shopping. But I think for Belly, it was completely clouded by the absence of her mom. I felt really bad for Belly when she called Jeremiah and was crying about her mom not being there. Jeremiah also felt bad, and it led him to actually driving to Belly to give her a birthday gift. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Back in the office, Jeremiah asked Steven to be his best man, which, is this an ego thing? Because he was so anti everything with this wedding and engagement, and now he's like, you know what? Now that I could be a best man, I'm in support, just don't tell my mom. So, as I said, Jeremiah, he drives up to see Belly, and he brings flowers, cake, and a key to the cousin house, telling her that in 6 weeks it'll be hers too. And listen, if anyone wants to give me a beachfront property for my birthday, I am definitely accepting offers. Then he gives Laurel this emotional speech about how Belly saved him and how he wants to build a life with her. But Laurel, she's not budging. And y'all, when Jeremiah said, "I know you always wanted me for a son-in-law," I almost choked, because who said that? Who said that? And when Laura responds with, we'll never know what your mother would have wanted, everyone who read the books, I know you immediately thought of the letter that Susannah left, which I'm not going to spoil, but let me tell you, when the letters come out that Susannah left for her boys, it's going to cause so much drama from beyond the grave. So then Laurel asked them to wait a year, which, let's be real, is not unreasonable. Most weddings take at least that long to plan. If your mom is saying, I'll support this if you just wait 365 days and your answer is still no, you gotta ask yourself, why are you in such a rush? And when Jeremiah said, I can commit, that's easy, trying to convince Laurel that this engagement and wedding makes sense, I was just like, can you commit? Is Jeremiah and Belly having amnesia about Cabo? Because that wasn't commitment. And he also said he feels like he's been the luckiest guy in the world for 4 years because Belly chose him. And that's wild to hear, knowing he slept with Lacey in those 4 years. And I think even just that wording of that she chose him, that didn't sound like love. That sounded like someone who just wanted to win and to be chosen over Conrad. In the end, Laurel stands 10 toes down and tells Belly she won't be at the wedding. Belly clearly is very devastated. They get in a fight and her and Jeremiah end up leaving to go to Cousins. In a twist, Conrad is back and he's actually been in Cousins this whole time, hiding out, avoiding calls, just trying to find some peace. Meanwhile, Belly keeps acting like he's the intruder every time she runs into him in his own house. Like, girl, you are the one that's trespassing. This is not your house. Jeremiah asked Conrad to be his best man, and Conrad, very politely, I might add, calls the whole thing a little bit ridiculous. And honestly, that was generous, because he could have said far worse. I was genuinely annoyed when Belly and Jeremiah were trolling Conrad loud enough for him to hear. Like, have a little grace. When he rolled his eyes and grabbed that plane ticket, I cheered. I get it. First loves are hard to shake, but Conrad really deserves someone who at a minimum hasn't slept with his brother. The bar is low. He deserves better, and they should not have been trolling him like that. It was very childish. And I'm going to say this really quick. I 100% believe that if the roles were reversed and Conrad had asked Jeremiah to be his best man, Jeremiah would have had a full-blown temper tantrum and he would have said no too. So I don't understand why he is so shocked that his brother doesn't want to stand beside him as he watches the love of his life marry his brother. Everyone is so diabolical. So now back to Taylor, because for some reason the show wants us to keep up with her. Did I not say I would be annoyed in my last episode if she canceled her trip because of her mom? Because I knew this was coming. Steven tells her that her mom's ex opened lines of credit under her name, and if it's not paid off by the end of the month, she won't be able to get a loan from a bank. So of course, Taylor, she cancels her dream internship using her housing money to pay down the debt and decides to stay. Her mom is proud and hurt at the same time, but me, I'm fully pissed at her mom at this point. Taylor sacrificed everything and honestly deserves so much better. And can I just say, Steven offering to give her $5,000, yeah, that man definitely still loves her. Now that Taylor isn't going to New York City, I think we might get to see more of her and Steven together, especially around the Cousins' house. That's kind of my prediction. I think the second half of the season is going to bring the full crew back together all under one roof leading up to the wedding. Now, speaking of the wedding, after seeing Belly crying, Conrad decides to stay and be Jeremiah's best man. He also makes Belly her favorite muffins for her birthday. He acknowledges her happiness with Jeremiah and offers his support. The episode ends with a flicker of warmth and maturity from Conrad, showing he's still deeply connected but also learning to let go. And then we get him narrating and he says, "What have I done?" And I feel like the next episode we're probably going to get from his perspective. And I think it might actually go all the way back to the moment he first saw Belly at the dedication for Susannah, but this is just a hunch. Jenny Han is also directing this episode, so be prepared to bawl your eyes out. Okay, so my final thoughts on this episode. I feel bad for both the Fisher boys. Yeah, Jeremiah has his flaws and he could be immature, but everyone is kind of mean to him. And yes, some of that is his own doing, but I'm a softie, y'all, so I felt bad. And I feel like he does this thing where he smiles a lot through his pain, and I feel like I do that sometimes, and I connect with him on that note, so I think that's why I feel really bad for him. And then there's Conrad. When he saw Belly crying, he didn't say anything dramatic. He just showed up with muffins and gave her the support she needed. Actions speak louder than words, and his were loud and so sweet. He really does care about her deeply, which makes me even more annoyed thinking about how Belly and Jeremiah were low-key trolling him. Like, why? Can I just say, if everyone's already having this many dramatic reactions to the wedding announcement, imagine how unhinged it's going to get if that Cabo tea ever drops. Taylor should go full chaos agent and send a wedding invitation to Lacey. I mean, I know that would hurt Belly, but I feel like that would be messy and I would love to see it because I love a mess. I'm sorry. Speaking of Taylor, I hate that she canceled her New York City trip, as I mentioned before. Her and Belly both putting their trips on hold all because of stupid men really pissed me the hell off, because what the hell? And I also wanted to very briefly talk about the scene with Laurel and John, where Laurel's talking about how she lost herself in marriage and in parenting. That felt so real to me. You could feel the weight of the years between them. But I do think Laurel is projecting a little bit onto Belly. John saying he'll be at that wedding no matter what just shows you how different their parenting styles are. Honestly, I think John loved Laurel way more than she ever loved him back. And maybe that's because she lost herself along the way, or maybe it's something else or someone else. Cough, cough, Susannah. I want to pitch y'all a potential spinoff. Thanks, Jenny Han, for giving us this beautiful, messy story, but I'll take it from here. So hear me out. This spinoff would absolutely slap. Picture it. Early 2000s, peak Y2K. We're talking butterfly clips, low-rise jeans, Nokia ringtones, Avril Lavigne blasting from a dorm stereo, and enter Laurel and Susannah, complete opposites stuck in the same dorm room. Susannah's effortlessly cool, all fairy lights and floral comforters, and Laurel's the sarcastic, slightly jaded writer who thinks she's above it all. But over time, they become soulmates in the truest sense, the kind of friendship that survives college, heartbreak, motherhood, illness, and even death. We already know they met in college, and we've gotten crumbs like Laurel admitting she thought Susannah was just another rich girl at first, but this show could give us everything: their first heartbreaks, their big dreams, how they met Adam and John, what shaped them into the woman we know today. Plus, with all the 2000 nostalgia, The Summer I Turned Pretty already taps in. This would be a millennial core packed show. And I think, honestly, there's so much story here to be told. So that's it for this week's breakdown. If you made it this far, thank you for letting me spiral in peace. This episode really pulled back the curtain on how messy love, grief, and growing up can be, and I'm honestly here for it. If you like this breakdown, please make sure to follow, leave a review, or share it with your fellow The Summer I Turned Pretty obsessed bestie. Before I go, I want to say, don't let a man fumble your Paris trip or your future, and always keep Nepo babies humble. Thanks for listening. Bye.